This could be one of the most important videos you'll ever see in your entire life, and I'm not just being dramatic when I say this. If you're a human being and you've ever had an argument, debate, or disagreement, then you have to watch this. Timestamps are in the description if you need a refresher. Yoroshiku. Welcome to the second official episode in the Unbiased series, where this time we're going to take a look at how people argue. I've been wanting to make this video for such a long time. I'm so passionate about this one, so I will make this as interesting as possible so it's easier to remember and you don't get bored. Also, I know there's other videos already covering this topic, but I've noticed the message usually gets across better when it comes from someone you are directly interacting with. So there's a chance that this video might actually have a lot of downvotes from people that I sent here. So don't let those votes fool you, and if you learn anything from this video, give it a thumbs up for the algorithm. Otherwise, feel free to share it with every human being that you know. Here is why. Think about all the times when you've ever had an argument with someone and you just think, and the other person just isn't listening and they're not making any sense. We all have different levels of knowledge on different topics, but problems tend to happen when we don't communicate with each other in a way that the other person can understand, and it usually gets emotional, which makes it even worse. It would be so much more effective if everyone had the same level of standards when it comes to arguing. Just imagine the possibilities. We could literally increase the intelligence of the entire human population, solve problems faster, improve technology, improve everyone's mental, physical health, and just have more calm, logical debates. So when you think about it, there's actually no loser in a good, proper argument, because if you turn out to be wrong, that's great. You get to learn something you didn't know before. Win-win. When you let your ego and emotions control the conversation, it doesn't usually turn out this way. This is especially sad when it's with people who we actually like, but just disagreeing on one thing, which can ruin relationships, like I'm sure most of us have experienced at some point. There's actually a whole dedicated history and field of study based around logic, all the way back from ancient times, and there's dozens of logical fallacies. It'll take too long to go into all of them, but I will talk about and give some pretty funny examples of the most common ones to look out for, so not only can you avoid them better, but you can also counter them when people use them in their arguments, which almost everyone does. Yes, even me sometimes. It's kind of like a skill that you can actually practice, like we see with actual debates. Well, the good news is we do have an actual system of helping this, but the bad news, it seems, is most people have never even heard of it, so you can kind of see why people are so bad at arguing and why it's so hard to convince people of things outside of their current beliefs. Welcome to logical fallacies. So first off, we'll see an extreme example so it's easy to understand, and then we'll see a more realistic example that people do all the time. Here's one of the most common stupid ones of all, the ad hominem.
Hi Dick, I like dogs. I think they are better pets than cats.
Ha! That's because you're a stupid, fat, smelly idiot, you moron. Dogs are dumb, just like you.
Okay, so the ad hominem is basically just a personal attack on someone's character or motivation rather than the actual argument to try and make the argument look stronger. So first of all, Dick obviously didn't need to mention that Bob is fat or smelly, even if he is, and there is no reason to call him all the other names either because it doesn't actually address the argument which Bob is saying dogs are better pets than cats, regardless if that's true or not. If people do this to you, try to let them know right away and even send them to this video or any link to explain what they've done wrong, and if they continue, they probably just have a bad personality and can't control their emotions very well, so it might not be worth continuing on. That's an early warning sign. This one's quite simple, so I don't think we need another example. Next up, another super common one and really annoying, the straw man argument.
Hi Dick, I think lifting weights is a good way to get stronger.
Wow, Bob, I can't believe you. Lifting weights is so dangerous. People can get badly injured from doing this. I hope nobody listens to your stupid advice.
So a straw man argument is basically when people twist things, so they exaggerate a really weak opposite argument to make their argument look stronger, usually from things that you never actually said in the first place, so it's a really dirty tactic. A funny way to remember this is, imagine if someone screamed and punched you, instead of just punching that person back, you build a straw man next to them, scream at it, and punch that instead. That doesn't seem very brave. Now here's a more real and modern example that you might have seen before.
Hi Dick, did you know? Fasting has been shown to be good for our immune system and can help with fat loss.
Bob, you're unbelievable. Starvation is so bad, and if you don't eat food, you will die.
So surely you can see how misleading Dick's argument is. Dick is likely talking about when you don't eat forever, eventually, yeah, you will die, but this has nothing to do with the specific points Bob was making. But also you can see how much of an emotional response people might get from Dick's argument, so they automatically think that Dick is making a stronger point than Bob. And this is often how people get easily influenced, especially in things like politics. You'd think these things are obvious, but people still seem to fall for them. So third on the list is the Ad Misericordiam Fallacy, or otherwise known as the appeal to sympathy. You can think of this like the typical Karen meme.
Hi Dick, it's good to see you again. But unfortunately, you're not allowed to drive on the pedestrian footpath. It's illegal and quite dangerous for the pedestrians.
Bob, get out of my way. Don't you have anything better to do? Can't you see I have a sick child in my car?
Obviously here, Dick is trying to justify his illegal offense by using his sick child. This is crazy, and believe it or not, even though this was supposed to be the silly extreme example, people actually do this all the time. Check out this YouTube channel formerly known as Stop a Douchebag, based in Russia. This channel is literally about this group trying to stop people from driving on the footpaths, and the excuses people will make will blow your minds. Some of them get out and fight or even threaten to call the cops, thinking that they'll somehow be allowed to commit an illegal activity. This one's simple, so let's move on. Fourth on the list is the Bandwagon Fallacy, aka the Appeal to Common Belief Fallacy. You can probably guess what it is just from the name.
Hi Dick, did you know smoking is actually bad for our health?
Bob, how can you say that? It can't be bad for our health. Everyone does it.
Obviously, the bandwagon fallacy is when people try to argue their point just because a majority of people do it. Here's a more realistic, modern version.
Hi Dick, did you know we don't actually need to eat animals to be healthy?
Oh my goodness, Bob. Everyone eats meat and we've been doing it for thousands of years.
This is a very common argument people try to make against vegans or vegetarians, purely based on the argument that everyone does it. This is a simple one, but there was actually another similar fallacy that Dick made at the end there. Number 5 is the appeal to nature fallacy.
Hi Dick, I think wearing clothes is a good way to keep warm.
Holy smokes, Bob, that's ridiculous. Why would you wear clothes on your body when we are naturally born naked? Get your birthday suit on.
The appeal to nature fallacy is when we argue that just because something is natural, it is therefore valid, justified, or inevitable. This is like saying it's okay to kill someone just because everyone eventually dies anyway. It's similar to when Dick said that we've been eating animals for thousands of years, therefore we should still continue to do it now. You need a better reason than this for your argument to actually be valid, because we know for a fact that you don't actually have to do that anymore, at least not in modern society for the average person. Number 6, the appeal to authority fallacy.
Hi Dick, did you know vegetables are quite healthy for us?
Oh, hi, Bob. Did you know you're wrong for saying it? Because I heard this doctor said that all vegetables are bad for our health.
We can see here that this fallacy relies on the argument that just because someone who's an expert said something, it must mean that it's true. This is not logical reasoning, and sometimes it can be hard to avoid this one, like in the next realistic example.
Hello there Dick. Fasting seems to be a great tool for fat loss when done correctly.
Please shut up, Bob. This famous bodybuilder said fasting is terrible, so that can't be true.
Number 7, the correlation causation fallacy. This one is really popular in scientific debates, and it causes a lot of trouble for lots of people, so try and be careful of it.
Hey, Bob, here's one for you. Did you know drinking water will kill you? There were 10,000 people that recently died on the news, and they all drank water on the same day. It was obviously the water.
Oh.
This fallacy denies the fact of other possibilities just because there is a small correlation of 2 data points. Like when Dick said it happened on the same day, obviously doesn't mean that it was the water that killed people. So now for a realistic example.
Hey, Bob, here's another one. Did you know calories are a myth? People lose fat even without counting calories, so it's not true. They don't even exist.
This is a common argument people make these days about calories. Just because they didn't count and had success doesn't make calories not true. That's not how fat loss works. See my other video for specifics on that. Number 8, the anecdotal evidence fallacy.
Guess what, Bob? Chocolate is disgusting. I ate it and it made me throw up. Therefore, chocolate is disgusting and nobody else should eat it too.
We don't need to explain this one too much, but it's super common and needs to be mentioned. This one is kind of similar to the last one, except it's based purely on a person's personal experience. And obviously it's possible that other people might enjoy chocolate. Here's a more common, realistic example that I see all the time.
Guess what else, Bob? I know for a fact that fat loss is not about calories at all because I didn't count them and I still lost weight.
Number 9, the middle ground fallacy.
Hey Dick, I don't think it's very nice to beat people up just because you don't like them.
Bob, you fool! Beating people up is great for their health, but obviously we should just beat people up sometimes.
This fallacy is based on the argument that a compromise between two extremely opposite points is always true. In this case, we obviously know that torturing people for fun is not really a nice thing, and we don't actually need to make a compromise to suit people who think it's a good thing to do. So now for a more realistic example.
Hi, Dick. Did you know it's unnecessary to kill animals for food for most people who live in modern society because we can get everything we need from other food sources?
Bob, shut up and eat a beef burger, you weak little soy boy. If that's too hard, then just eat animals sometimes.
This is sadly a common response to vegetarians or vegans from many anti-vegans or anti-plant-based people. The issue with this is, if you can avoid unnecessarily killing an animal for food, why would you do it? Number 10, the false dilemma fallacy.
Hey Dick, I don't really want to eat either of those things. Sorry.
Listen to me, Bob. Either you eat the dog poop or you eat the cat poop. You have to choose one.
This fallacy is simple and relies on the fact that there can only be two options, even though it's fairly possible that there's more than two options. Maybe Bob might want to eat monkey poop, or none of them. Let people know about this one and don't take poop from nobody. Here's a realistic example.
Oh my gosh, Bob, it's so simple. Either you do perfect clean fasting or you won't lose any fat.
Number 11, the burden of proof fallacy.
Hey Bob, unicorns are real because you can't prove that they aren't real.
This fallacy relies on the argument that just because the opposite cannot be proven false, or until someone can prove that it is false, it must always be true. It's your own responsibility to provide proof for any claims that you make. Number 12, the Tu Quoque Fallacy, aka the You Too Fallacy.
Hi Dick, sorry but I don't think you have suitable skills for this role.
Go stand on a Lego piece, Bob. You're not suitable for the role either.
This fallacy is a type of ad hominem, when people try to discredit someone by returning criticism with criticism, without actually addressing the point being made, which was referring to Dick's lack of skills for the role. Number 13, the Fallacy Fallacy. This one can kind of get deep, so try and be careful of it.
Hi Dick, I think we should reschedule our plans for tomorrow because I had a dream that the weather is going to be really bad.
Bob, you babbling baboon. I've learnt about logical fallacies now, so I finally understand them. You are wrong about the weather tomorrow because you can't base that just from a dream you had.
This fallacy is when someone assumes that just because someone has made a fallacy in their argument, that the conclusion of their argument must also be wrong too. But in this case, again, Dick is making an invalid argument because logically speaking, it is actually possible for the weather to be bad tomorrow, even though Bob wrongly based this off of his dream. Number 14, confirmation bias. This isn't actually a formal fallacy, but it's super important and related to the video.
Hey Bob, I searched up that BS you said about fasting and I was right. I found out that someone died from doing it and doctors were saying not to do it and my friends tried it and they got even fatter.
Although this is a kind of bunch of fallacies put together, it's more to show that we humans have a tendency to favor information or data in a way that confirms our pre-existing beliefs. So we ignore any information that doesn't align with our beliefs. A lot of us actually do this unconsciously, especially for topics that we feel strongly emotional about, which can make unbiased judgment of data even harder. I always tell people this, but please try not to rely too much on one or two sources of data and always be open-minded to new information, just in case the chances that your thoughts could be wrong. This is one of the reasons why I enjoy software development or programming, because you can make a guess or assumption about something that you want to make. You can actually test it out to see if you're right. And the best part about this is no one is going to turn it into an emotional argument because there's no logical fallacies. It's just a computer. The only way that you could be wrong is if you are wrong. So this concludes the video. There is heaps of fallacies out there and it's actually a fun topic to learn about. You can think of this as a kind of mental battle and have the mindset that it's benefiting both you and your opponent instead of there having to be a loser. As a final note, it's helpful to know that most people don't respond very well to criticism or anything against their beliefs, so even being good at debating doesn't always mean you're going to be more convincing. In fact, usually the opposite is true, and people who use a lot of fallacies in their arguments can often end up sounding the more convincing person. It doesn't have to be this way though. Learn the fallacies, avoid them like the plague, fight against them so that everybody wins. Thank you for watching.